All right, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we're going to talk about Jermell Charlo, Terence Crawford, Danny Garcia, and the 154-pound division after Jermell Charlo beats Castano for the undisputed title. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So before I get into the subject matter of the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. We put out daily content that I think that you'll enjoy. Also, make sure that you like the video, share the video. It would be greatly appreciated on my end. So let's get into this. We're talking about Jermell Charlo and what happened in the aftermath of this fight that he's going to have this evening, at the date that this video came out, this evening, after the outcome of that fight, which, by the way, I am thoroughly convinced will be Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo is fighting Brian Castano for the undisputed 154-pound title. Jermell Charlo has the IBF, the WBA, and the WBC belts, and Brian Castano has the WBO belts, and they're going to be fighting each other on pay-per-view to see who will be the undisputed champion. It's my belief that that is going to be Jermell Charlo, and then after that, he's going to have to figure out exactly what he's going to be doing with those 4 belts, because he says that he's not moving up in weight. However, if he hasn't checked it out yet, he's pretty much cleared out everybody in that division, and I don't know who there is exactly left in that division that people would be pressing to see him fight. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about the fight that's going to be coming up. And this is the reason why I say that Jermell Charlo is going to, I believe that he's going to win the fight, is because, you know, Brian Castano was a volume puncher. He's a very tough volume puncher. But the problem with Brian Castano is that Brian Castano is also hittable, and he's fighting somebody that knows how to hit and has a tendency of knocking people's spark out. So Brian Castano, you know, what they say is the more punches you throw, there's the more options, the more opportunities there are to hit you. So he's not very conservative with his punches. He's a volume puncher. He doesn't really sit down on his punches much. So he likes to fight close on the inside. So I expect Jermell Charlo to catch him with something and make him think twice, and then slow his hands down, because there's something coming back in between what he's throwing. And I think that the far more experienced, the more intelligent fighter is Jermell Charlo. So that's why I have Jermell Charlo winning and becoming the undisputed champion at 154 pounds. But that leads us to the question of what are you going to do after that? In a press conference, he was asked, would he fight Terence Crawford? Would he fight Danny Garcia? Because there had been rumors or discussions about Terence Crawford moving up to 154, and Danny Garcia said he was going to move to 154. So, you know, that's pretty much not Terence Crawford moving up. Terence Crawford is something we don't quite know whether he's going to do that or not, but Danny Garcia is definitely going to be moving up, and eventually I suspect that all of those guys that are down there at 147 pounds, those veterans, that those guys are going to move up, and that is really something that Jermell Charlo needs. Because first, if you look at the people that are at 154 pounds, the most logical, there's Erickson Lubin is rising at 154 pounds, but what is he rising? What's he rising from? He's rising from those ashes that he got burned into when he fought Jermell Charlo. So Erickson Lubin, even though he's looking good and is looking like he's one of the top, if not the number 2 154 pounder right now, I'm not quite sure he would fight. There's also Fundera, the 6'7" guy that honestly doesn't look like he's ready yet. I think that he's probably got another year and a half, something like that, before he's ready to fight for a title. But Fundera, but other than that, it's just not a lot of people in there anymore. There used to be a lot of people in 154. Used to be able to say, wow, you know, he could fight Nathaniel Gallimore. There was Erislandy Lara. There was Jared Hurd. There was J-Rock, right? But J-Rock, who everybody that handled that WBA belt wound up getting knocked out. So the last man standing after tonight is most likely going to be Jermell Charlo. So a fight with Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, Shawn Porter, and Terence Crawford are things that I personally think that he should be hoping to get, because that's a later stage in their career. They already know that pretty much that weight class at 147 is locked up between a fight between what's going on with Manny Pacquiao, Errol Spence Jr. and guys. Now I would also say that Terence Crawford is clearly in the class of people that are in the mix at 154 and 147 pounds. But other guys like Shawn Porter, Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, I think that their time has come and gone at 147. But that's something that Jermell Charlo should definitely be not sounding like, questioning whether or not he do it. Because when he was asked about it, he sounded like, yeah, we can make some money together. But yeah, you can make some money together, but really, you need to pretty much, and I'd hate to say it in this way, as far as getting all the titles, yeah, Jermell Charlo's going to get that. But as far as being in the big money fights, hey, Jermell's going to have to catch up with, couldn't catch up, but in order to keep that pay-per-view worthy fights going, you're going to need a guy like Keith Thurman, because Keith Thurman is somebody that you can actually sell and say, we wonder whether or not Jermell Charlo is going to be able to beat him because of the amount of experience and stuff that he has at 147, while Jermell Charlo, to knowledgeable boxing fans, would be the clear advantage. You don't know, because Keith Thurman, you don't know as what the fan bases of those fighters would think. And I guess that's probably the best way to look at it, because Danny Garcia has an established fan base that he could bring to Jermell Charlo, and he's a two-division belt holder. He held belts. It was a unified at 140. He held, I do believe, the WBC at 147. And so for him to be able to move up and fight for an undisputed championship, I think that he would go for that. Same thing for Shawn Porter. Same thing for Keith Thurman. If they think they have an opportunity to win, it would be interesting to hear Keith Thurman try to turn that fight down. But I think that it works for both parties, and I think that it works for boxing. And one thing that I'm really glad about, regardless of who it is that Jermell Charlo would fight, whether it would be the Terence Crawford or Danny Garcia or whatever, I'm really happy that he said that he is intent on staying there and defending that title, because pretty much once he's there, if he gets past Brian Castano and he holds those belts, the only thing that could pretty much stop him from losing those belts at this point in time would be one of those sanctioning bodies, trying to ask for ridiculous amounts of fees and making it too expensive to hold on to the belts. But as of right now, Jermell Charlo says that he's going to stay, that he is going to hold on to those belts, and that is something that neither one of those other guys. Maybe Alexander Usyk might have defended his undisputed at cruiserweight one time, but if he did, it was just one time. I don't think it was twice. But to have somebody be undisputed champion and defend it multiple times, 3-4 times, man, I think that would be absolutely amazing, and something that would be such a good positive turn for boxing. I hope that the sanctioned bodies work with Jermell Charlo and don't tax him to death in order to do that. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.